Okay, real talk. Every single person who went to an American high school has been assigned this book. Every single one. And I'd bet good money that at least 60% of you just SparkNoted the whole thing, turned in your essay about themes of racial injustice, got a B-, and moved on with your life. And honestly, respectable. No judgment. But, and this is a big but, if you actually sat down and read this book as an adult, like with adult eyes and adult context and the knowledge that the world is, in fact, kind of a dumpster fire, this thing hits different. Like, genuinely hits different. So today we're going back to Macomb, Alabama. It's the 1930s. It's the Great Depression. And one little girl is about to get a crash course in why adults should absolutely not be trusted. Buckle up. This is To Kill a Mockingbird. Chapter 1. Welcome to the worst small town in America. They love it there, though. So we open in Macomb, Alabama, and I need you to picture the most boring, hot, slow, gossip-filled small town you've ever seen. Now make it the 1930s. Now make it the Deep South. Now add extreme racial segregation baked into literally every social interaction. That's Macomb. Our narrator is Scout Finch, full name Jean Louise Finch, but nobody calls her that. And she is 6 years old when this story starts. She's basically a feral child in overalls who would rather fight you than talk to you, which, honestly, queen behavior. She lives with her dad, Atticus Finch, and we'll get to him, don't worry, because Atticus Finch is the main character energy of American literature. And her older brother Jem, who is 10 and already thinks he's too cool for everything. Also, there's Calpurnia, their black housekeeper who basically raises these kids and takes zero nonsense from either of them. Calpurnia is the goat of this entire novel, and she doesn't get nearly enough credit. Just putting that out there. So the summer starts, and Scout and Jem meet this kid named Dill. He's visiting his aunt next door, and the three of them immediately become inseparable. They've got no YouTube, no video games, no TikTok. What do they have? Each other. And one extremely mysterious neighbor. Chapter 2. The neighborhood has a cryptid, and these kids are obsessed with him. 2 houses down lives Arthur Radley, but everyone in town calls him Boo. Nobody has seen Boo Radley in years. Years. And naturally, because this is a small town with nothing to do, the entire neighborhood has built a whole mythology around this man. Rumor has it he stabbed his father with scissors once. Rumor has it he comes out at night and peeks in windows. Rumor has it if you eat the pecans from his yard, you'll die. Is any of this true? Absolutely not. But do Scout, Jem, and Dill spend the entire summer daring each other to run up and touch his house? Oh, 100%. This whole Boo Radley bit is giving full Stranger Things energy, the mysterious figure everyone's scared of, the kids who are obsessed anyway, the neighbors who act like they've seen a monster. Except instead of the upside down, it's just a sad man who doesn't leave his house, which is somehow more depressing. But here's the thing. Boo starts leaving little gifts in the knothole of a tree near their house. Little carved soap figurines, a pocket watch, some chewing gum. He's watching out for these kids in his own quiet, weird way, and they don't even know it yet. Foreshadowing has entered the chat. Chapter 3. Dad Mode activated. This is where it gets real. Okay, so up until now this book has been pretty charming. Kids being kids, small town life, Boo Radley lore. Cute, right? Then the plot drops. Atticus Finch, Scout's dad, single father, tired lawyer who could absolutely have taken an easier path in life, gets assigned to defend a black man named Tom Robinson. Tom Robinson has been accused of raping a white woman named Mayella Ewell. And here's where I need to pause and just say, everyone in town already knows how this ends. This is Alabama in the 1930s. The justice system is not exactly operating on logic and fairness right now. Atticus knows it. The judge knows it. Probably Tom Robinson knows it. But Atticus? Atticus decides he's going to defend this man for real. Not just show up and go through the motions. Actually, genuinely, build a case and fight for this man's life. And the town loses its mind. People start talking. Then they start really talking. Kids at school start coming after Scout and Jem, calling their dad a N-word lover. Which, yes, this book does not flinch from that language, and it shouldn't, because sanitizing history is how we pretend it didn't happen. Scout's instinct is to fight everyone. Jem's instinct is to be quiet and embarrassed. Atticus's instinct is to just stay the course. Atticus Finch is the human embodiment of, I'm not arguing with you, I'm just right. Full Tony Stark composure without the ego. He never raises his voice. He never loses his cool. And somehow that makes everyone around him more uncomfortable, which is honestly a power move. Chapter 4. Bro really said that in court. The trial arc. Okay, the trial. This is the main event. This is what everyone's here for. So here's what actually happened. Mayella Ewell, the alleged victim, comes from a family that is, to put it diplomatically, not great. Her dad, Bob Ewell, is the town drunk, openly racist, and genuinely threatening in a way that makes your skin crawl. They live behind the town dump. They're the family that even other poor people in the Depression look down on. Mayella, for what it's worth, is lonely. Genuinely, heartbreakingly lonely. She had a little garden. She tried to keep things nice, and she would occasionally ask Tom Robinson, who walked by her house on the way to work, to help her with small chores. And that's it. That was their relationship. What Atticus argues, and this is the part where the courtroom gets very quiet, is that Mayella made advances on Tom. Tom, being a married man who understood exactly what the consequences would be, panicked and ran. And then Bob Ewell, who saw the whole thing, beat Mayella himself, and then blamed Tom to cover it up. Atticus walks through the physical evidence. Tom Robinson's left arm is completely useless, an old injury. But Mayella was hit on the right side of her face, which means the person who hit her was left-handed. And guess who in this courtroom is left-handed? Bob Ewell. Atticus literally just caught this man in 4K, in front of the entire town, with the intellectual equivalent of playing back the security footage. And then Tom himself takes the stand, and a reporter asks him why he helped Mayella Ewell if he got nothing out of it. And Tom, this honest, gentle man, says he felt sorry for her. And the whole room shifts, because in 1930s Alabama, a black man saying he felt sorry for a white woman is considered more offensive than anything else that's been said in that courtroom. It shouldn't be, but it is. Chapter 5. The jury said no, and honestly, we all knew they would. The jury comes back. Guilty. And Atticus knew. Scout knew, sort of. We knew. But Jem didn't know, or maybe he just hoped. And watching Jem Finch process the verdict is one of the most gutting things in this entire book. Because Jem is at that age where he still believes the system works if good people just try hard enough. And this book is basically the story of that belief getting destroyed in real time. The black community in Macomb, who had packed the upstairs balcony of the courthouse, stand up as Atticus walks out. All of them. Every single person. As a show of respect for the man who actually tried. And Reverend Sykes tells Scout, "Miss Jean Louise, stand up. Your father's passing." I need everyone to sit with that scene for a second. Okay, moving on. Chapter 6. The villain didn't have a point. He was just evil, actually. So Tom Robinson, in prison waiting for his appeal, tries to escape, and he gets shot 17 times. 17 times. Atticus has to go tell Tom's wife.
And that scene is described in about 2 sentences in the book,
which is somehow more devastating than if Harper Lee had spent 20 pages on it. Meanwhile, Bob Ewell, who has now been publicly humiliated in court, called a liar in front of everyone he knows, and lost the one moment he thought he could feel powerful, decides that the correct response is revenge. He spits in Atticus's face. Atticus wipes it off and walks away, which is the most intimidating thing you can do to someone who needs a reaction from you. But Bob Ewell is the type of guy who, if you ignore him, escalates. Like a low-level villain in a video game who keeps respawning. He's broke, he's furious, and he has absolutely nothing to lose. So one Halloween night, walking home from a school pageant, he attacks Scout and Jem in the dark. Chapter 7. The plot twist we actually deserved. Jem gets a broken arm. Scout is wearing a giant ham costume that accidentally deflects a knife. And then, out of nowhere, someone pulls Bob Ewell off them. Someone carries Jem home. Scout looks up and sees a pale, shy, trembling man standing in the corner of Jem's room. It's Boo Radley. Arthur Radley. The cryptid. The neighborhood ghost story. The man who's been silently leaving them little gifts in a tree for 2 years. He came out of his house, which he hasn't done in years, because he heard children being hurt. And he saved them. Bob Ewell is found outside with a knife in his chest. And here's where the book does something really quietly bold. The sheriff, Heck Tate, looks at the situation and says, "We're going to say Bob Ewell fell on his own knife." Is that the truth? Probably not. But Heck Tate is essentially saying, I am not going to drag Arthur Radley into a courtroom and put this gentle, fragile, reclusive man on display for doing his civic duty. That would destroy him. And Atticus, who has spent this entire book fighting for the justice system to work, accepts that decision. Because sometimes protecting a person means knowing when the system would hurt them more than help them. Scout walks Boo home that night. She holds his hand. He never comes out again. And standing on his porch, Scout finally sees everything she knows. Her street, her house, her whole world, from his perspective. From the outside, looking in. But here's the thing about To Kill a Mockingbird that SparkNotes won't tell you. This book isn't really about racism being bad. Like, yes, obviously, but that's not the point. We know racism is bad. That's not the lesson. The lesson is about what it costs to be a good person in a world that doesn't want you to be. Atticus Finch did everything right. He made the case. He proved in open court that his client was innocent. And it didn't matter. Because the systems in place weren't designed for the truth to win. And the book doesn't pretend otherwise. It doesn't give you a feel-good ending where justice prevails. It gives you a little girl who learned, at 6 years old, that the world can be profoundly unfair, and whose father said, "You still have to try." Scout's real education isn't reading or writing. It's learning to climb into someone else's skin and walk around in it. Her dad actually says that, literally says those words, and it's the most important thing in the whole book. Boo Radley was never the monster. Bob Ewell wasn't a monster in a horror movie way. He was just a small, hateful man with nothing but his prejudice to feel proud of. The real horror of this book is how normal all of it was, how unremarkable. How the whole town just went back to their lives. Scout went back to school. Jem eventually healed. And Boo went back inside. And Macomb, Alabama kept being exactly what it was. No cap, Harper Lee was not playing around with this one. If you've never actually read it, read it. If you read it in 9th grade and hated it, read it again. You're not the same person you were then. And if you're still SparkNoting it for English class right now, I'm not judging. But at least watch this video first so you sound like you know what you're talking about. Alright, that's it for today. Drop a comment. Team Atticus, Team Scout, or Team Boo? I'm personally Team Calpurnia, but nobody ever gives her a chapter. See you next time.